Hello YouTube, Sidekick here. I am in my brand spanking new A-10c Mark II. And I thought that I would celebrate the release of this fantastic new airplane by taking it back to its roots. So I'll explain that after I get us get ourselves fenced in here. I think we got our Mark 82 set up right. Just need to get the target set. So let me fiddle with the TGP here a little bit. But basically, let me explain what I mean. The A-10c, especially the latest version of it, is a fantastic platform for operating at medium altitudes and deploying standoff precision weapons, which, let's face it, is the way that the A-10 has basically been used for, well, the last 20 years, maybe even a little bit more than that. But the fact of the matter is that's not where the A-10 came from. When I was doing my Golan Heights videos, which by the way you should check out on my channel, I realized that when the A-10 was being designed back in the early 70s, that was the experience that the designers had in mind. The experience of a modern jet air force going up against an integrated air defense system with a thick net of SAMs that had not been defeated yet, and needing to take on armor, and lots of it, at low altitude and close range in an environment where there was lots of AAA and IR missiles about. And frankly, the Israeli Air Force had real trouble with that. And I think that experience was definitely uppermost in the minds of the guys who designed the A-10. The A-10 was basically designed to go where other airplanes could not. It was designed to operate low. It was designed to operate close to the enemy. It was designed to take hits from everything up to 23 millimeter ammunition and keep on flying and keep on destroying tanks. In the years since, weapons have been developed that have meant that it can perform the same mission without necessarily needing to get down in the mud the way it was designed to do. But it's a Hawg, man. It wants to fly low. It wants to fly close to the enemy. So I've been thinking of some ways, some what-if scenarios that will allow us to take the Hawg back to its roots to celebrate its new release. But that'll be for another day. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you want to see some of the things we're going to do with it. I think it's going to be kind of fun. Today, we're just actually going to go and redo the iron bombing tips and tricks session that we did with the A4 and the Harrier, the tactical pop-up one. And show how that would work with an A-10. And it's interesting because we'll actually find out that because of the way the A-10 is designed, we actually fly this mission a little differently. And I think it actually shows off some of the strengths of the way the A-10 was designed. So the first thing that you'll note is that we're flying a little bit lower, certainly than we did with the Skyhawk, maybe about the same as with the Harrier. But we get nice and low. It's very easy to fly this airplane low. With some of the other jets, you feel like you really don't want to flinch. With the A-10, it's just really happy being low. It's stable, it's smooth, and I really don't feel uncomfortable even flying down at 250 feet. So we're going to get down to that. We're not going to pop up as aggressively or as high in the A-10. So we're going to go into about 3 nautical miles, and then we're going to pop up, well, about 3.5. Then we're going to pop up at 25 degrees rather than at 30. And we're going to do that, A, because the A-10 just doesn't pop up as well, but the other thing is it really doesn't need to. Because of the visibility out of the cockpit, you're actually going to find that we're going to be able to deploy the bombs much more easily, even without having to need a really aggressive dive bombing angle, like especially we need in the Skyhawk. And it's a lot easier to bomb with CCIP, I find, in the A-10. You'll see what I mean. And in fact, we're actually going to manage to break away from the target before we even fly over it. And that's really, I think, just has to do with where the cockpit is in the A-10. We can see where the bombs are going to be farther ahead than we can even in the Harrier. So we're going to get into around 3.5. We're going to pop up. Here we're going to pull up to about 25 degrees, about halfway in, so a little bit, around 2 nautical miles. We're going to roll over, we're going to find the target, and we're going to put see, the other thing is I haven't even switched modes to CCIP. It's so easy in the A-10. We'll stay in nav mode until we actually see the target. It's interesting. We get the helmet mounted cue. We can actually see the target from the helmet. That's kind of neat. New system. As you can see, we're rolling in. It's very civilized. Now we've got the Pipper on. Pipper's live now, so we're actually already seeing where the bombs are going to fall. So we're actually coming in a bit lower, a little bit shallower, but with lots of times to drop the bombs and actually time to break away from the target before we fly over it. And there are the hits right across the middle of the target. So, as you can see, the A-10 is a very capable iron bomber. And in fact, I would say, designed to do it in a way that actually, makes it even more, I don't want to say measured, than in the Harrier or the Skyhawk, where, especially with the Skyhawk, the last 10 or 15 seconds are always a little bit of a scramble to get everything lined up. Harrier is a little bit better because of the CCIP, but in the A-10, it's I don't want to call it sedate, but it's pretty easy to get those bombs on target without getting too excited at the end of the run. So, same thing as we did in the other iron bombs tips and tricks. We're not going to go quite as far south, but the basic idea here is that we're going to go south and we're going to turn east. We're going to wait until the target is basically due north of us, and then we're going to turn into it. And again, just like with the Harrier, the A-10's HUD makes this very easy to do. In this case, the heading tape is at the bottom of the screen instead of the top as it is in the Harrier. But we also have the little target blivet that tells us exactly how many degrees we have to turn in to reach the target, and that's actually quite helpful. So we'll pull around here, and because we're pretty close to the target, we won't end up going east for very long. Come around to just about due east, and then we're looking for the target heading. Oh, there we can see it in the helmet mounted cueing again, and it's almost due north of us, so we're going to turn in again. The TGP is continuing to show us the target, but frankly I'm not looking at it. I'm just looking at the heading tape and the symbology on the HUD. And so we're rolling in on the target. It's due north of us. We're flying north. Worked out very well. We'll offset a little bit to the left, same as before, because it's just makes the roll in a bit easier if we're not aimed straight at the target. So, same process. We're just going to wait for the range to count down. Right about there. Up we go. Nice even pull up. Around 25. Hold it there until we get about halfway to the target. And again, we're using an even less steep climb this time, so we'll come out even shallower. But again, it's entirely possible in the A-10. You really don't have to pop as high as you do in the Skyhawk or even in the Harrier. And again, that's good for survivability. Remember, the thing we're really trying to avoid is being in the SAM zone. We're not fearing the AAA and the IR missiles as much as we are fearing those radar-guided SAMs, at least in its original incarnation. And here we go. And bomb's gone. And once again, we break off before we're over the target and right across the target. So you can see iron bombing in the A-10 is actually, I'm going to say it's the easiest of the three aircraft that we have flown, because it is designed to approach target at low level. It's designed so you don't have to pop up high to be able to drop those bombs on target. And again, this was the way the aircraft was designed. It doesn't get used that way very much in the last 20 years for good reason. If you can stand off kilometers away with precision-guided munitions, why would you? But like I said, I got some projects that I'm thinking of where we'll try and come up with some what-if scenarios that will take the A-10 back to its roots. I think it's going to kind of be fun. Subscribe if you want to see those. And for now, this is Sidekick, signing off.